I've been watching a few YouTube videos on how to set this up on your ZXR winch, and I'm pretty confident that everyone's doing it wrong based on the videos I've seen. Mine actually came with directions, which I'm not sure where they went. I think the wind took them, but I'm just going to do what the directions say, which from my rock climbing experience is exactly what I would expect on a climbing rope. So what it says is that you can trim back this heat shrink tubing or completely remove it, which is what I'm working on right now. It's actually glued, so it is kind of a pain to remove. These are little hobby scissors here, which make it pretty easy to get in here and remove these. I'm almost back far enough for where I'm trying to get. Go a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm back to this red part right here. That's what I was trying to get to. What you do with these is it's kind of like one of those, I don't know if we're still allowed to call them Chinese finger traps, but you basically push it in this way, it loosens up. You feed the rope through the middle of this, and as it tightens, the tighter you try to pull, the harder it is to dislodge these two. So what the instructions said to do was basically undo a Chinese finger trap. You're going to push it together, and then you're going to pull the inner core of the rope out. And that inner core of the rope, you can see, it's right here, feeding down the middle. So we're going to pull this out, and that's what we're going to use to feed through that little hole in our ZXR winches. I might have to just cut this all off, I think. I have plenty of shrink tubing, so I don't really mind cutting it off and just putting on a new piece of shrink tubing afterwards, which I don't think is even necessary, but I'll probably do it just because of OCD. Alright, all I did was grab some pliers, basically start pulling on this. It slowly tears and pulls off the glue, which is exactly what I'm looking for.
I'm all the way through. Peel off all this glue that's on here.
And in the instructions, it says you should only have to trim it back a little bit, but I just can't imagine you're going to be able to get the finger trap to come apart with all this on here. So I'd rather just remove it all, be done. And we're going to push this together. Try to remember which side's the inside and the outside. They're kind of braided together, as you can see. You gotta pull it apart a bit. I see. I actually had it backwards, which was inner and outer. Just because of how they loop through each other. I'm just going to loosen it up here. I'm going to keep working on loosening this up, and then I'll get the end product on video. It's going to turn out to be really long. So I did end up taking a bit of the red off. I've taken off about 3 inches so far. I have a feeling it's going to end up being about 6 total. Then what I'm going to do, once I get it loosened up enough, just add some more shrink tubing, and it should look exactly the same as it did before. I'm not too concerned about messing up with a little bit of fraying right here. All that's going to get, it's going to be some of the initial wounds around the winch. It's just not something that I'm going to be concerned about in the long run. And you can see as I'm going, it's getting looser here. As it gets looser, you can start to pull this inner core out. So I'm just going to keep trimming as I go till I get this inner core to come out. This inner core is going to be what we're going to feed through the drum and the winch, and then lay over sideways across the winch, and then wrap all of our wraps around it, as the instructions say. Alright, so total I had to remove, I don't know, 5 inches of the red part. You can see I have this much here that's still the fat section where it's inside of each other. All you got to do is pull this back. You can pull from here. There you go, you're out. This piece right here is what they're talking about in the instructions, that they want you to feed through the hole, lay over the drum, and then wrap around. So we're going to do that next after I stretch this back out, make this how it's supposed to be, and then I'm going to put some heat shrink and probably a little bit of E6000 on here just to seal it up like it was out of the package. I definitely wish I had one size larger shrink tubing, but I don't, so I have to pull on it while sliding it on. Pulling on it obviously stretches it, makes it a little bit smaller. So got it on here. I'm going to try to get this red piece in there, but I can say it's not going to be easy. I'm not going to try on camera because I know it's not going to be easy. It's going to take me forever, but I'll get a finished picture. Oh, shit, it was easy. Stretch the red bit out, keep it as tight as the inner core. And I don't have enough hands to finish it. I ended up wrapping it with tape. I think this is going to work. Yep. I'm just going to push past it like that. Then I'm going to remove all this tape. I was out of electrical tape. If it was any kind of vinyl tape, I would leave it, but not that. I'm not leaving that. I'm going to take this off. Okay. I don't really care about it being frayed. So what I'm going to do, this is E6000. It's basically shoe goo. I use this for absolutely everything. But in this case, I'm going to use it to seal the ends of this. I'm not really that worried about sealing it, but it was like that when we got it from Harbor Frigate, so let's leave it the same, right? Just put a little bit around here. Not very much, just basically as much as there was on the old piece. Yeah, not very much at all. I'm going to slide it over it, like so. Okay. I'm actually going to go a little bit further than I need to. I'm going to put some on this in the same way. Okay. Pull it back. Motherfucker. That didn't work out like I thought it would. Okay, so just kind of, I'm going to have to get a little messy here, but that's okay. Alright, so just the same thing. A little bit of glue on both sides. Now I'm going to hit it with the heat gun and shrink it up. Alright, back outside again. I got it shrinked up. You could have used a lighter for this. I wouldn't because it's synthetic material. I don't feel like melting all these rope fibers. So basically we're going to stretch this entire piece through the eyelet of the drum. I'm going to go remove my cable right now. I don't feel like it's necessary to have that on video since there are already so many videos of that up already as is. Granted, everyone I found is doing this part not like the instructions say, but there are other videos. Alright, remove the cable, took the set screw out. You should not use that set screw again. All it's going to do is damage the rope. I'm going to pull this through. Sometimes it feels a little easier said than done, but it will pull through. I'm actually going to spin this, try a little bit easier to pull.
Hopefully make it easier to pull. Hard to say, really.
Okay, it's binding up on this side. I'm going to pull it out, get all this straightened up, and start over again. Hopefully it'll pull through easier. I used a small amount of the Scotch tape. Sorry, I live by an airport. But I used a small amount of the Scotch tape to keep all the frays over here in check. I didn't use very much because I didn't want to make it any fatter than I needed it to. And I'm just going to give myself a little bit of Dawn dish detergent, which I don't know for sure, but I don't think it's going to cause any issues with the synthetic rope. I wouldn't want to use like oil or anything like that, but I imagine a water-based soap is going to be fine. Keeps wanting to bind up in the same spot, so I'm just going to do a little bit better of a tape job on it. I think I'll be able to get it just fine. I redid the tape and made sure it overlaps on each section. That way it slides through, hopefully easier. I guess we're about to find out. I only needed to go through about that far, so like all this stuff down here, I don't actually need it like that, but just in case, I didn't want to deal with it later. Should already be plenty of soap in there. Oh, fuck it, can't hurt. Dripping out the bottom, good sign. Spin it, make this easier on me. Look at that. Look at that. I'm just going to go slow this time, trying to make sure I don't catch anything on the drum here. As you can see, the tape likes to catch. Put this down here. Spin this. Relock it. See if I have any good luck. Look at that. Okay, that's as far as I need it to go. It is going to lay it over like this. Then that is what is going to actually hold it on, is your wraps going over this tail. I'm going to peel off all this tape. Because I use Scotch tape, it's going to be a real pain in the butt, so I'm not going to video that, but I'll get a final picture once I get some wraps on here. Alright, so before we get to the end of this where we start spooling, I just kind of want to get into some proper rope management. This is a rock climbing thing, not necessarily an off-road thing, but if you're going to use a synthetic winch line, it's going to be the same thing. When you very first unbox this rope, it's obviously all kind, it's got kinks in it, turns, bisque, all kinds of shit. So you're going to flake it. All this is going like this, just working out all the kinks, just kind of spinning it as you go. It doesn't really have to be nice because we're about to spool it. This is just called flaking. Something that we do whenever we set up our belay areas. This is the very first thing we'll do. We're checking for nicks, burrs, anything in the rope that would make you not want to trust that rope with your life, essentially. Here we go. Another big important thing is you need to make sure this stays on the end. This is not just to protect the end of your winch line from UV fading, it's also your slider. So like if you have like a rock or something that you're pulling this against, you don't want this to get all frayed. You're going to move this where your rock is. The tension of this is going to hold it in place, and then your rope is going to slip through it like so. The directions said lay it like this, to give yourself 10 spools and to go under the drum. So I'm going under the drum right here. I'm just going to give it 10 light spools. Once you have 10 spools around in a circle here, then you're basically going to take it out on flat ground, leave it in neutral, and use the power of the winch to pull in the rest of the rope to take out the stretch. This is the same thing when we're rock climbing. When you fall, it doesn't just stop. We use kinetic ropes, so like when you fall, you have to add about 7 feet onto your fall. And that's rated at a certain distance of fall, but point remains that these ropes are stretchy, and you need to take that stretch out before you actually use it on the winch line, not on rock climbing. This red section, the rope here, is your warning line. if you're ever unspooling your winch and you get to a point where you see this red line out, then you know that you are very close to the end of your line, and you should probably start being concerned about your minimum wraps. Alright, I'm going to count off the red ones. I'm not going to count this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's go one more. There we go. So essentially what that means is that when you start seeing red for the first about 3 feet, then you know that you have 10 wraps still on there. At least that's what I'm telling myself. So red doesn't necessarily mean stop right away. It means be very weary and pay attention to your winching situation. Alright, so I have not done a stretch pull yet, and I did this on purpose just to show what happens. It's going to touch your ropes up here, or sorry, your crossbars. If you're rusty like me, it's going to fray your rope. It's going to get everything dirty. You really want to keep these ropes clean as possible. You don't want, a bunch of dirt and stuff in there. It's just going to tear it down. On top of that, I do also run a winch cover, which I think is set at the back of the truck. I'm going to go get it. Alright, here's how I covered it up. I just loosened it a little bit, shoved it up here, tighten this around it, that way the sun can't get through. Super simple, and your rope will last significantly longer that way. I grab my cover and put it on. Just as an example, I'm in Texas. That's the color it was when I got it. This is the color it is now. This thing is not even 1 year old. So within the course of 1 year, this is how much UV degradation we get in Texas. If I was up in Oregon, where I'm from, I wouldn't be as worried about it. But down here, it is actually a big deal. This kind of degradation on your synthetic winch line will lead to a snap in the most inconvenient time. I am going to do one more video that shows you how to attach 2 ends together if you do snap a synthetic line. It's really easy. I found that most people don't know the correct way to attach these, which is a belay knot. So that will be coming up soon. Other than that, I hope you guys liked it. I'm going to post this video because I don't feel like I need to do a stretch test. My brother has a Suburban over here with a LS swap that he purchased for the Suburban over here. And I'm basically just going to park my Jeep over here, put his truck in neutral and have him lightly put his foot on the brake, and I'm going to tow his truck to me, which is going to stretch out the entirety of the rope. With that being said, there's not really anything else to cover. I will say that this bothers me a lot because I know this is going to sit in the sun a lot, and I am going to find some way to cover that up, or even perhaps hook it up here and then cover it with the bag when it's not in use. That's just kind of a personal preference because, like I said, I don't want the sun sitting on this all the time. I don't use this winch very often. It doesn't make sense to let it just degrade in the sunlight. Other than that, I hope you guys liked it. Like I said, my main goal here was to do it along what the directions said. Everyone else I've seen on YouTube is cutting the rope at that red part past that little fat section of that Chinese finger trap thing they got going on. I really don't like that. For one, you're going to lose some feet off of your winch line. You're going to have to pull out the inner core anyways and then cut out the inner core. You're going to have to twist the inner core to get it to fit through where all this is already done. This is exactly as the directions that came with the synthetic winch line said to do it. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment. Otherwise, I hope that you guys can all benefit from this. Thanks.